Now I know everybody's done videos on rotational grazing and fencing and why to do it, how to do it, and all that stuff, and I'm not going to get into all of that, but I did want to do a short video on my evolution of rotational grazing, at least the materials that I use to graze rotationally. Maybe this will save you some frustration, some money, avoid the mistakes that I made starting out in my rotational grazing, because I do think rotational grazing is a good thing to do. I think it allows you to have better grass for your animals. I also think it allows you to have more grass, and therefore you may actually be able to put more animals on your land if you take care of the grass well. So I'm just going to quickly go over where I started with my rotational grazing and where I'm headed to now. And let me show you what I started out with. Now, when I started rotational grazing, I went to my local farm store. I bought some, this is 1/2-inch poly tape. It wasn't very expensive. I bought me a couple of reels, some of this tape. I got some of these fairly cheap step-in posts, and I was all set to go. And that worked for a while. A few years I used that, but it didn't take me long to realize that this tape, it's cheap for a reason. It doesn't hold up very well. The wind whips it around real bad. You can put some twists in it between posts, which helps a lot, but it just doesn't hold up. Also, it just doesn't carry the current like this tape does. Now, this tape is quite a bit more expensive. Again, you can get it at your local farm store. Most of them, it carries the current much better. It is stouter. I like the fact that this tape was white. I felt it was easier for the animals to see, but once they learned where this was, it worked pretty well. And as you can see, I've got a couple of different kinds of reels. These cheaper ones, these are a little more expensive. This one is a geared reel. So every time you turn the crank, I think you get like 2 or 3 revolutions of the spool every time you turn the crank. I've seen videos and people touting the benefits of that, but to be honest with you, I don't like the geared reel. The reason being is they're a lot harder to turn. Maybe I'm a weakling, I don't know. But these other reels, I can spin them and roll that tape up as fast as I can walk anyway, so I don't see need for this to be that much faster. And when I'm rolling it up, most of my fences are not over, 3, 4, maybe 500 feet at the most, so it doesn't take that long to roll these up. So that's where I started. Cheap tape, cheap reel, cheap post. I upgraded, better reel, better tape. I did find some better post. These particular posts, if I can get a shot of it, if you watch, even when I just push down on this a little bit, these things bend something terrible. And it's actually fairly cool out today. In the summertime, boy, they're like a wet noodle out there. They don't hold their shape very well at all. You can't use them for corners for sure, and not even very well if you're just trying to make a curve with your fence. Let me show you another reason why I've evolved on my fencing. As we're walking out through here, you can see this is a fence I've had up here for a while. This one going down through here. This fence, which is temporary fence, it's disconnected right now, so it's loose. I've still got the cheaper step-in post in here. But if you look, that fence is fairly hard to see. and I have had multiple animals go through it because they just don't see it well. Whereas this fence with the white poly rope, I've got white step-in post, and I just think this works a lot better. So that's what I have done to upgrade my fence. Let me show you how I've upgraded my spools. Now these are the spools most people recommend that you use. They like them because you can hang them when you get to the end of the fence. You can just hang that up. I've seen people where they wrap the poly tape or the rope or whatever you're using around this, then hang it on a fence to make this hot. Those are all great ideas. They just didn't really work for me the way my situation is here. So what I have gone to is these. Now this particular reel, both of these here, came from Rural King, which is a farm store we have around here. There's several around the country. They're good reels, but an upgrade to them is this reel. Looks very similar. These particular reels I buy from Premier One. The reason I like them better, they're just a little heavier duty. The latching mechanism on these is a lot better than the latching mechanism on those. These are just sturdier. I like the fact that everything is galvanized instead of just painted. I've never had to work on one of these reels. These have always been pretty reliable. Those I've had to work on the spring latching mechanism, try to make pieces, and they work. As long as I've got them, I'm still going to use them. One advantage to these, it does have hooks on it, and you can hook this thing on a fence if you want to. Whereas these are made to just sit on the ground. And that's primarily what I do with them. When I get to the end, I tie this off. I think I've showed before, and I can show you again real quick, using the rope links, how you can tie this off and leave the extra on the spool and keep your fence tight. This particular spool over here, I actually ordered by mistake. It's a much wider spool than this one, but I don't have a frame for it. I might have to get a frame to do that and try that out. So what I'm doing now, I've got these spools with this old tape on it that I just don't use much anymore, and I am re-spooling them with this type rope. I've got a contraption set up here. It looks like a junk pile, and it kind of is. I'll simply put my spool on here between a couple of gates. I ran it over there around the gate that I leaned up, just let me go around something. Comes over top of my mortar mixer that I use for mixing feed and minerals. And then I'm going to wind it on that spool. Now another thing these spools have is this strap. Sometimes it's in the way, but it works pretty good. You can hang that over your neck, and then you can just walk right along winding that tape up, winding up your rope. But I've got a better option. Now, this is a game changer. Instead of walking along, winding this up when I've got a lot to do, this piece slips over the reel. And you can wind it up as fast as you can go. I will tell you another thing I like about, let me lay these down here. The differences between these two reels. This one's just got the spring. I can get a shot of it. There's a spring under here. The pin goes in this hole. You just line it up, turn this, springs down into the hole to stop it. This one works the same way. The advantage is it's got slots in here, so when you pull this up, you can lock it open. The other one won't always stay open. The other big advantage is there's multiple holes around here. You can lock this thing in a lot of different places, and I really like that quite a bit better. These I had to order from Premier One. They're a little more expensive than these that I got from Rural King. These work. I'll keep using them. I probably won't buy any more of these. As anything happens to them, or if I need more, I'm going to spend the extra money and buy these. This is not a endorsement of Premier One or anything. I know y'all have heard me talk about them before. They've just got pretty good products. Now, I've mentioned that I got most of my products from Premier One, and I do want you to know that I do not get anything out of mentioning them. But my whole purpose of doing these videos is to help people out if I can. So if I can point you in a direction for some products and things that work well for me, I'm going to. And I hope it helps you out. I did talk about upgrading my fence, the actual fence material, and the reels. I've got several of these reels to re-spool, put new wire on it. But the other thing I upgraded was my post. I've done videos before where you've seen me putting these in. They're pretty simple. They're a step-in post. What I like about them is, although they're flexible, they're much stiffer than these black posts. But the other thing is, these clips that go on here, you can move them up and down wherever you want. You can put as many of them on there as you want. With these, as you can see, this one is broke already, part of it. As these get broke off, the post becomes useless, really. These, for 25 cents, you get new clips, and you can just replace the clips. You don't even have to pull the post up.
Hi, Papa.
Hey, buddy, how are you? Are you here to help me?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
You got a dirty face. I know that's not a huge revelations about using an electric fence. Hopefully it saves somebody a little bit of trouble. The white tape just didn't work out for me at all. It didn't hold up. The yellow or orange and black held up much better, but it still wears out, and this other will wear out too. But I just like the fact that it's easier for the animals to see. I can get quite a bit of it on a spool, and it's nice having it all the same. Also, it works good with the rope links, I think is what they call them. The little wire, spiral wire things that I've showed before to fasten this together. It's just a pretty good little system. I think that's what I'm going to stick with for now. So, I appreciate y'all watching. Hit the subscribe button, the like button, and all that kind of stuff if this interests you at all. And I guess I'll see you again next time.